I started a Faceless YouTube channel just over 2 years ago that's gotten over 500 million views. And here's my studio dashboard for this channel. And you can see that I've had over 655 million views and I have over 670,000 subscribers. It's monetized, it's making me money. I started off posting faceless channels, faceless videos, meaning you don't see this face, it's just me talking and I'm having clips, you're telling a story, and then eventually I did start showing my face. And so in this video, I want to talk about, do you need to show your face? The pros and cons of having a faceless channel versus showing your face. And I want to talk about what I've learned. And can you make any money? Okay, let's talk about the concept of a faceless channel versus a face-on channel. So faceless channel, it's a new trend. It's not a new trend, but it's becoming a lot more common, especially with the rise of AI. And that's having a completely anonymous channel. So the content is either you write a script and you're telling a story, or you can even have ChatGPT, or you can hire a freelancer on sites like Fiverr or Upwork to write a script for you. And then you can record that script. So you read the script telling the story, or you can hire someone to record it, or you can use AI to just translate it. You've heard, I'm sure you've clicked on a video and it's some AI going, the boat was very fast and it went, you clicked, it was clickbait, you clicked on that boat, you wanted to see how fast it could go, and you didn't realize what some AI is going to read to you, right? And the video itself, you can either edit it yourself, where you're taking little clips from other videos and you're putting them together in some unique way that tells a story, or you're maybe recording little things that never really show yourself, right? You're recording, you kicking the ball, or whatever it is, right? And you put it into a video, it never really shows who you are, you can be completely anonymous. And I want to talk about some of the things that I've learned doing that, following that model, why I chose that model initially, and why also I've had some different styles, and I've eventually started showing my face on that channel, and why I'm showing face on this channel, the pros and cons. Here it is. So what are the advantages of a faceless channel? So obviously one of the first things is you can be anonymous, right? You don't have to reveal your personal identity. You can have that privacy aspect where you don't show your face. And so maybe you're in some kind of niche that's a little more controversial, or maybe you have a full-time job and you don't want to associate yourself with that job, or you just want to keep yourself private, right? That's where faceless can be really beneficial. Even if you are talking and using your voice, you're never really showing your face. So, the channel, you don't have to name it, Billy Bob's YouTube channel. It could be, The Dark Wall or whatever it is, right? And you never really has to associate it with yourself. You can remain anonymous, which is really cool. That's something that, especially if you're nervous or fear, if you have anxiety of not wanting to put yourself out there, well, then you can make some faceless channel, and even if you create some amazing video, it's a way of kind of breaking into the YouTube or social media as an influencer, or creating these amazing stories and contents out there without having yourself to be at the forefront. The other thing is flexibility. For me, this is very important. This is one of the main reasons why I did it, is that flexibility portion, because you can literally create content anywhere. You don't have to look presentable. You don't have to go do your hair up or make sure you do some push-ups beforehand or whatever it is, right? You don't have to have this YouTube background. You can literally edit anywhere. And myself, all of my videos that I initially were making, I edited everything, recorded everything, did everything on my cell phone, on my iPhone. I literally would go through, I would record it using the voice memo app. I would do editing using InShot, which is a video editing app that you can get on the App Store. You can have it on iPhone or Android. InShot app, I literally edited everything. Hour-long videos, all on InShot. And I did everything there. I would go through and I would video clip just using the, on the iPhone here, I can literally just scroll down and I can hit this little button right here and I can start recording, right? And that's a screen recorder, and it starts recording my screen and audio on there, and I can click that and I can either record myself talking, or I can do that. And I don't have to download any special apps or anything, record it all. So if I need to get a clip of some person, jumping, right? I'd find some clip on the internet of someone jumping, and I'd just screen record it. And now when I say the word jump in my video, I can have a visual that shows a person jumping, and it's super easy to then make that connection. But also it's really scalable. So yes, I can do it all on my phone, but because you're not showing your face, you can basically scale it to higher levels. And this is where YouTube automation kind of comes into play here. Which I have dabbled in, I have attempted to do, which there are some pros and cons to that as well. But it is allow you to outsource things like voiceovers, editing, and script writing, right? So if you come up with this amazing concept, right? Say your concept is talking about a guy, the first ever person to make coffee. I don't know, whatever, right? First person to ever make coffee. And so you come up with this concept. And so you can go on to ChatGPT and say, hey, write me a YouTube script that is 150 words long, or that's 3 minutes and 50 seconds long about this topic, and it'll give you a script. Now, ChatGPT is usually not going to be that good. It's going to sound like AI wrote it. You can also go on to Fiverr or Upwork, and you can find someone who's a script writer. You give them the content, you say, hey, this is how long I want it to be, this is the tone, this is the texture, hey, can you please do this? And so they can write you a script, send it to you, you can give them some revisions and say, hey, it's not quite what I want, can you give me some tests back? Problem is sometimes, it might not be the best. Sometimes they use ChatGPT themselves, so maybe they're just going on there and doing exactly what you could do. Sometimes you do have some really good people, but you can scale it that way where you only have to come up with the ideas, and you can have lots of different people writing a lot of these, so you can post a lot more frequently. You can also do this with voiceovers. If you don't want to sit there and read everything, maybe you don't think you have the best voice, or it's hard for you to do some of the inflections, or maybe you're a little more monotone, or you just don't want to talk, right? You just don't want to have your voice in it. You can hire a voice editor. You can go on different websites where they'll actually use AI to generate a voice that sounds pretty realistic, believe it or not. Some of these are very realistic. And you can have AIs doing the voiceover. And then video editing. This is, to me, one of the most time-consuming aspects of making videos. And that's actually why I started this channel, is I don't have to do quite as many video edits on this channel. I can actually talk about some of my experiences. But when you're doing a faceless channel, it's all about the editing, right? Because yes, you're gonna have that voiceover and that script that's telling the story, but people want visuals. So they want someone showing, that person who kicked that ball, or that person, a picture of that person who first discovered coffee. That's a terrible example. I don't know why I used that, but you want to show a video. If you're telling a story about someone who did this certain thing, you can get a video clip of that thing, and it helps sell the story and keep the audience engaged. But editing is not easy. It takes a lot of time to get those clips, to edit it into a meaningful story. So you can outsource that. Yes, AI can technically do it, but it's not very good. But you can outsource that to sometimes people overseas that can do it at a cheaper rate. And so you can pay maybe $50 and get a 10-minute long video that's pretty well edited. Usually you're gonna spend a lot more than that, but you can get it pretty well edited. We've actually sourced some of the clips. They'll find clips to use themselves. I've done this, and sometimes it can actually turn out pretty well. So you can get maybe like 5 people doing this, 5 people doing this, 5 people doing that. They're all putting it together. You can go into different softwares and have everybody kind of organized, where you don't have to do anything. All you're coming up with the ideas, and then it all is just kind of put together, and then you post it at the end. So you can get like a video a day, which is awesome. You can really scale it and potentially make quite a bit of money. Which leads to the last point of the advantages of faceless channels, is that there's lower personal involvement. It's less tied. Yes, it's less tied to you and your appearance and personality, but it's less tied to you. It can become a lot more passive. When people talk about passive income, it can become very passive because you're literally doing nothing, right? You can really put it out there. A great example is one of my channels. So you can go check out Jumpers Junction at Jumpers Junction on YouTube, and you can actually see some of the videos I've made where I've taken clips and I'm telling a story, and you can go in and see the story unfolding on the screen because I'm using different clips to tell that story. Now, on all of the videos that are faceless on my channel, it's always me talking. I never wanted to, I did try to get someone else to do a voiceover at one point, and it didn't work, right? It didn't really go with it. So in this case, in my case, it's not complete automation, but I did in some of them try to have some people, I did some tests where I said, hey, go out there and write me this script. Here's the concept, here's the idea. And a few of them I tried, but every single one that I got back, full disclosure, none of them I felt were worthy of me just making a video with. So I always went in and I had to, in some cases, just completely redo it. In some cases, I had to heavily edit it to make the story actually a story that I could tell versus just reading a Wikipedia page. Because that's not what you want, right? If they wanted to read a Wikipedia page, they could go read a Wikipedia page, right? But they want to be told a story because it's all about the art of storytelling, right? So I tried it. I did have some people edit content at one point. The problem with editing content is if you write the story, right, you have that vision in your head. So if I'm talking about, say, someone who broke a world record and the story of how they broke that world record, I've got all these little context and points I want to make. And so I, in my mind, know what visual I'm thinking of when I'm saying a specific word or saying a sentence or a point. And so I'll go get clips that I think really emphasize that. And nobody can do it better than the expert. And the expert is yourself because you're the one who's making it, right? And if you outsource that to someone else, yes, they might be able to get roughly in the right area. But if you're saying, hey, go get me a clip of this specific person doing this specific move. So if I use gymnastics, for example, and you're talking about a gymnastics move that was done back in the 1960s or 70s by a Russian gymnast, you want to go get a clip of that gymnast doing that move. And if you outsource it, then they're going to get just anybody doing any kind of move that's not necessarily what you're trying to show, right? And then your audience is going to pick up on that and they're saying, hey, that's not a double front flip twist by whoever, Yulia, that's, another clip from another person from another time, and they're going to call you out on it, right? So it's something you have to be aware of, that there's going to be a lot of errors associated with that, but we're going to get to that in the downside. But lower personal involvement, right? You don't have to be as involved. So now let's talk about the advantages of channels with your face. So this is them actually seeing you talk, you being a personality. First off, that personal connection, right? Viewers tend to connect more with creators that they can actually see and they can relate to, right? So you seeing me talking, it gives this sense of personal connection. So you're seeing me, I'm talking to you, and I'm saying you, right? So I'm not talking to, hey, audience. No, I'm talking to you as if you are the person that I'm specifically talking to. There's a connection. It's like we're building rapport, even though I'm on a screen and this is in the past. When you're viewing this, I know this is me recording in the past, right? But it feels like there's that personal connection. Therefore, you feel you're going to get a better perception of the video, which helps overall with that satisfaction rate that YouTube or whatever's algorithm is looking towards, right? It's all about personal satisfaction. How satisfied you are with that video ultimately will lead to them putting more ads on it, which can help the videos, can help you make more money, and build whatever brand you're trying to build, which leads us to the second point, right? That trust and authenticity. People kind of feel like they know you, right? It helps with that engagement and loyalty. You can kind of build that trust that I am a person because I'm willing to put my face on it. I'm willing to believe what I'm selling. I'm believing the content that I'm presenting, right? I've done the work. Therefore, it builds kind of this trust that it's not just some AI that's putting out there. You don't know how truthful or realistic it is, especially if some content, if someone's talking about money or if someone's talking about, something that you really need to make sure they know what they're talking about. A faceless channel might not give that authenticity and that trust factor. And then finally, brand building. And this is going to be huge when we talk about pros and cons later, but brand building, right? It's easier to build a personal brand where your image is central, okay? Think of people, give some examples of some YouTubers that show their face, right? Mr. Beast, great example, right? everybody knows his face. And a lot of YouTubers will literally show his face in their thumbnail in order to get people to click on it, right? His face is his brand, and his brand is so popular because people trust the content that he makes and they know it's his, right? Another person would be like Ali Abdaal, right? If you've looked at personal growth or personal development, he's a great person. He was a doctor, and then he started making content about personal development and how to build his YouTube channel and how to promote people. And people, as soon as they see him, recognize him as an authority, right? Versus if it's just, you know, and what's even better about that is it's his actual name as a YouTube channel, which I wish I would have done on this, but in a way I don't, because this is a formerly broke. I'm John, but this is formerly broke, and this is kind of gonna talk about how I build this whole channel up, but it's a brand, right? So those are two advantages this is the advantages for Faceless versus Face On, but now let's talk about the challenges. So challenges from a Faceless channel, specifically Faceless. It's harder to build a personal connection. I know for a fact that people are more willing to be not very nice in the comment section because they don't consider it as a person. They consider it as just a brand. So it's really hard to be mean to someone face to face, right? It's really hard. It is. It's hard to be mean. But in the comment section, if it's just a brand, right, and you don't see their face, they think it's some corporation, then it's a lot easier to leave a negative review, right? So then maybe you don't have the best video, or maybe you do have a good video, and then someone leaves a pretty nasty comment, or a comment that's can be hurtful, and it can hurt your self-esteem, it can hurt your motivation, but also it can hurt the algorithm in promoting out the video. Or maybe you say something and you didn't fact check it and you say something wrong. Like there's an instance on one of my other, my Jumpers Junction channel, there's a video I did about shot put, okay? And I'm you know, it's hard to talk to the camera, right? And sometimes you get the words wrong. And I was talking about shot put, and I'm giving a definition, and I say, you know, the shot is the ball and the put is the throw, or something like that. I can't remember which one I said, but I said it wrong, right? I know the right answer, but I said it wrong in the video because you're going through the process. And even though I've got it literally written down, I'm reading it, I still got it wrong, right? So then the comment section goes on and people are like, oh, you got it wrong, you got it wrong, you got it wrong. And so it's challenging because then it's kind of these negative reviews, and YouTube's algorithms, whether it's positive or negative, will pick up on the sentiment of the comment section and how people are responding to the video and whether or not I want to push it out to more people. If all the reviews in the comment section are negative, YouTube's algorithm's going to pick that up and say, well, is this the kind of content that I should really be putting out? Now, that's not the worst. That's just people saying, hey, you got it wrong. And it was a great learning experience for me because it made me say, hey, I need to make sure I go back and review these videos and make sure that I'm saying things correctly, because maybe I just brushed over that when I was doing my editing and review process, right? So it's a way for me to learn. So technically that was good because it was early on, and I got to see, hey, if I make these mistakes, I need to make sure I go back and review it better. But you know, it's pretty hard to build that personal connection. Also, voiceovers do require personality to stand out. If you've ever watched just an AI do a voiceover, I mean, I always just skip, right? If it's an AI and I can tell it's an AI, I'm just gonna skip. I'm not gonna listen to it. I want someone, when I read a video or watch a video, I want them to give kind of that personality to it and hear them talk a little lower and then get really excited about something as they get through it, and then they come down and they, and they can really feel like they believe the story that they're telling you. It just builds that connection. Voiceovers lack that personality, and that can negatively influence how well your channel and how well that video does. Also, it's hard to then build that connection from video to video, and especially if you're using different voiceovers, like you're using different AI voices or you're using different freelancers with different voices, then when someone hears that voice for the first time, especially if they're just scrolling through on a short form, even though they might have loved one of your video, if they flip through and it's a different person talking, they're not gonna really know it's that video that you really enjoyed from a different person, right? Because it's like a different voice. So therefore it's kind of like a different brand, versus every time you click on this video in this channel and you see my face and you hear my voice, it's that authority, right? The same thing with Graham Stephan or Mr. Beast or whatever it is, right? You always see that person and you recognize them as an authority, but then you see them face and you're like, okay, I'll click on another. Next time I see a thumbnail with their face on it, well, I really liked their content, so I'll click on it again. Versus Faceless, you might not necessarily have that. So it's hard to build that kind of unity and consistency for the channel as its brand. Therefore, it might not grow as fast because it's less visually engagement, which I will talk about that in a second on how it could potentially grow very fast, but we'll get back to that. So those are some challenges for a Faceless. Now, what are some challenges for a showing your face? For starters, there's that personal investment. It takes a lot of time to prepare the area you're in. It takes time to get yourself ready. It takes time to set out a time to actually sit here and record and get everything ready. Make sure that your batteries are charged. Make sure that the lightings are charged. Get your mic on. You can see I don't have the best mic here. I'm literally using this. Eventually I'll get a cool, nice mic. But you know, it takes time to just set things up, get your personality ready, and get that invested in it, right? Get the confidence. A lot of times you might not feel confident. You might feel groggy, or you didn't have enough coffee, or whatever it is. And so then you're just, you know, you're gonna get out here and you're gonna maybe mumble, or you're not gonna be as passionate about what you're saying, or you're just not gonna feel as authentic because you're not all the way in it. And so it can be a real challenge in every time actually showing your face, versus if you're faceless, it really doesn't matter, right? Especially if you're outsourcing everything. All you just gotta do is come up with the idea, and at nighttime, just make sure, you know, spend 10, 15 minutes and make sure it's all going in order. So there's also the vulnerability aspect, which to me is a big thing that was scary for me. And because you're putting yourself out there, right? So your increased exposure to criticism and that negative feedback. So every time you put your face out there and you're talking, if I say something wrong in this video, which I probably have, right? I've probably said something incorrect, someone can call me out on it, right? Now, when they call you out on a Faceless channel, you're like, well, it's not really me, you know? They don't really know that's me, that's just that channel. Versus if you call me out on something I say incorrectly on this, and I hope somebody does, this will be a great example. In the comment section, if I said something incorrect, call me out on it, right? And do so in a positive way to help me, right? Educate myself so I can make these videos better. But it's scary, right? It's scary for me to make these videos, put myself out there, and be exposed to criticism. And so then it comes into, how do I as an individual deal with rejection, deal with criticism? If I receive some negative feedback, am I gonna shut up, shut in, clam up, and quit? Or am I gonna take that and use it as motivation and fuel to do better next time, right? Each individual is gonna be different. And so for some people, showing their face might be a terrible idea, because that's just, as a person, might not be how they operate, right? They just, they have a lot of boundaries to overcome, and maybe it's good, maybe that can help them overcome a lot of personal development issues and growth, but they might be really good at doing stuff on the back end in the Faceless aspect. They can record stuff all the time, do all the script writing, as long as they can, they don't have to show their face, then it's nice and easy for them, right? And then finally, burnout. Now, I put the burnout aspect here in the challenges with the face, but there is a little bit of that for both. When you build a channel, right, you have built a brand. And so sometimes you can set yourself a schedule. Every Tuesday at 5 p.m. I'm gonna post a video. And the audience will then be looking forward to Tuesday at 5 p.m. because they know you're gonna put out a video and they can go watch it. One I used to really like was Bro Science Life, and he used to post new videos every week, and then they're super funny and it was awesome, right? And then eventually he would say new videos every week, and then he wouldn't post for 2 weeks, and then he would say new videos every week, and then eventually he wouldn't post for like 6 months, and then he'd be like, new video next week, just like I did last week. and it's been like 6 months, and it kind of became almost like a joke thing, right? Where he was like joking on himself for not posting the videos. And sorry, Dom, that was a terrible impression of him, but anyways, impression of his impression. But it's a lot of pressure to have that like necessity to constantly be posting. And when it is a faceless channel, you can kind of get away with it because it's not personally tied to you, versus when it's a face channel, it is tied with you, right? So if you're not posting, then what are you doing, right? Where'd you go? What are you doing with your life? You know, we're here waiting for you. I subscribe to your channel. Where are you coming from? And so it can be scary, and it can get be stressful, and that stressful can lead to burnout, which can lead you to take time off. Now, I've experienced that with my other channels, and I'll go 3 months, 6 months without posting, and I'll just, you know, let it go, let it ride, because I'm like, there's so much work that goes into it, and I start to get all these things. Oh, there's so much work that goes into the editing, and there's so much work that goes into script writing, and if it's not right, I don't want to put a video out that doesn't meet my standards. So then you get these constant second guessing of, oh, I'm not going to put a video out because it's not going to meet my standards, or oh, I'm not going to do that because I don't have time to write, right? And you start making all these excuses, and burnout is real. So it can be with either one. Now, with faceless and face-on channels, I guess you could say, you can monetize both, and there's a right way, and there's can be some challenges associated with either one. How you make money? All right, for starters, how can you make money with a YouTube channel, right? So the first way is a share in ad revenue, right? So you can make a certain percentage of money based on YouTube showing ads, pre-roll if you have over 8 minutes, mid-roll, and then they also show an ad at the end, right? So you can make money by sharing the revenue with YouTube. And depending on your niche, you can make more money or less money. Now, here's where it gets even more. Now, this is just talking about AdSense revenue, right? So YouTube takes what, 45%, 45%, right? Split. So there's a certain percentage you're gonna get, all right? So if YouTube's, say an ad pays $1 per 1,000 views, right? And you get, say 55%, 45%. That's not really what's gonna happen. You're gonna get a lower percent, because not every ad is gonna be displayed every time someone watches, right? So some people have ad blockers. Some people, if they're inclined to always hit skip, then they're less likely to get shown a video, versus someone who tends to watch ads will tend to get shown more ads. And so it kind of varies depending on who your audience is. So in a faceless channel, okay, your brand has less authority in most cases. And so advertisers, in my experience, and this might not be in full cases, but in my experiences, are less likely to advertise on faceless channels. So videos that are just showing clips. On the videos that have my face on them, they tend to get higher RPMs on them. Now, there's a lot of variations, a lot of variabilities to go into that, where the ad is shown, how long the video is, what the content is, etc. But it's just an observation I've made. In addition to that, think about this from an advertiser standpoint, right? Faceless channels have a higher tendency also to get flagged for reused content. Especially if you're not showing your face in it. The whole idea is to build a story and then use visuals to help tell that story, right? It's your content, but you're taking little clips of things. Now, whether you're taking little clips from that you're paying for, or whether you're just finding little clips on YouTube or on TikTok or Instagram, you're taking little like half-second clip and you're just adding tons of those, whatever it is, to show the point. It technically falls under free use, but there's a lot of variability in how that works. And remember, YouTube is run by algorithms, right? It's not run by people. It's run by algorithms. Yes, people are involved, but in my experience is the algorithms will go in, and if they see something they don't like, they'll flag it. It's kind of like do and ask for forgiveness later, right? So they'll flag something, and then you have to then appeal and go back in. So I know from my channel myself, I've been hit with flags and demonetized multiple times because of the algorithms just see something they don't like, and whether it's something they should have flagged or not, they'll err on the side of caution and flag things. So it can be an issue because if your face isn't on screen, then it's harder to show that this is my content. Now, it's just an observation there. So therefore, if your channel gets hit with some of these, you're then flagged, and advertisers will be less likely to show ads, and you're less likely to get quality advertisers. Therefore, your RPM levels are going to go down. So it can be challenging with Faceless. Face on, you can build that personal brand, like, you know, it becomes a person, right? Kind of like how Instagram used to be before they really started doing all their reels. You know, a person would post their Instagram picture, and it was like, you want to get a post by Instagram, right? And so advertisers would pay these Instagram influencers a lot of money to get one of those posted, you know, a sponsored post. And this is still like that today, but especially before Reels, it was like super popular, especially in the days leading up into it, because they were really to personal brands, an identity, a person, right? They wanted, I'm trying to think of an influencer's name. I'm just going to use Kim Kardashian as an example, but they wanted Kim Kardashian to be the person to sponsor their, I don't know, sports bra, whatever it is, right? So they wanted a person versus if you're faceless and the brand's like, well, I'm a brand. Why would I want another brand to sponsor my brand, right? I want a person to be my brand. So then it gets challenging to get both ad revenue, but also just a secondary way to monetize is that brand deals that you can make. I know I've had a lot of challenges with brand deals, and people just don't want to reach out, or people don't want to respond, or they don't really like it because they don't feel like there's that personal connection. Like, I don't want another brand to represent my brand. I want a person to represent my brand. So it can make it challenging to make that connection. Well, a good thing about faceless channels is that you can mix out quite a bit, or you can broaden yourself out, so you can get a lot more broader topics. So you can start your channel pretty niche, and then you can gradually become, you know, say you start off talking about how to do sewing, the next thing you know, you're giving stock tips, but you're all faceless automation, right? So a person didn't tune in because, oh, that's a terrible example, but you know, you can broaden yourself out and kind of change your YouTube channel a lot easier over time into different topics versus it always being tied to person. Because if you're the person, like, and it's always showing your face and you're teaching people how to do sewing, and then, you know, in your next video, you're saying, here's my stock tips, they're going to be like, you're a sewing person. Like, why are you teaching me how to do stock tips? But if you're just a faceless channel, then those videos are really more separate than they are connected. And that kind of went into one of the challenges, is that it's hard to make that connection. But in monetization, it actually can be good because then you can get that disassociation. And the last thing we'll talk about with monetization is that face-based channels, yes, they can get more of the brand deals, but then also it's a lot easier to sell courses or mentorships, and some of those be like a lead magnet. So if you're trying to teach people how to do drop shipping, a person, an individual, is more likely to sell people a course versus a faceless channel, right? If I see an AI made faceless video and it's saying, and by the way, you know, sign up for my course, I'm gonna be like, no, you're just an AI. I could just chat GPT this. Versus if it's like, you know, Billy Joe, and Billy Joe, it was an awesome video. Billy Joe was really passionate about drop shipping. And at the end, Billy Joe's like, look, I'm super passionate about drop shipping, and I just want to share what I've learned. Yes, I'm gonna charge some money for this, but just go check out my channel, go check out my website, and if you buy it and you get value out of it, awesome. I'll give you a return for 30 days if you find no value, right? If someone sells me that, I'm gonna be like, all right, you know, there's a little risk. I'll go buy it from Joe Smo. So there's that secondary lead magnet that you can get more from a face channel. Which is better, faceless or face? There's no one size fits all. I don't think there's a correct answer for this. I think it's based on your personality, your situation, your timing, what your niche is or what you're trying to do, and then what your skill set is. So I think it is your goal, your personality, and your comfort level, right? If your goal is to make a ton of money, how, based on what your content's going to be about, can you achieve that, right? If you can go hire 100 people to make all these different videos, and you can hire a bunch of people to organize it, and you have, you know, a large volume coming in, you don't need a ton of views if you've got the volume, right? But can you handle all that, right? Are you a person who's really good at managing or organizing a lot of data? Or are you someone who just wants to sit in front of a screen and almost do like one of these, right? There's not a ton of editing on this video. It's just kind of me talking and going through some concepts and giving my experience and my feedback, right? I'm okay in this video of showing my face and showing my voice and giving my experience, even though I might have said some things are wrong, like the whole 55-45 thing, split between YouTube. I messed that up, didn't I? When I first said it, I was like, oh, I said the wrong one. So, right, I said some things wrong, and it's scary, but my personality-wise and my, for myself, I'm like, okay, whatever, it's fine. I'm comfortable with that. I'm gonna make mistakes. I recognize it. And in the future, I'll just try to do a little bit better, right? And just try to do a little better. So, you know, there's no one is better. It kind of depends on what do you think your challenges are? What route do you want to take? And how do you want to achieve that? Now, I will say this, depending on what options you take, there are shortcuts you can take, okay? So if you watch my very first video that I did, which is the video I did just before this is my second video I've done on this channel, by the way. The first video I did, I kind of did a cheat sheet, right? So I found a concept that works, right? The whole guy who watched whose title says how many views he has, right? So it's a proven concept. And I took that proven concept and I kind of modified it for my very first video, right? So I did that with a face on, right? But you can do that same concept with a faceless channel. So if there's a whole channel voted to top 15 luxury yachts in the world, right? And it's a faceless channel, it's completely automated. It's someone just doing a voiceover and they're just showing videos and almost like screenshots of amazing yachts, and they're talking about it, maybe having some text overlay. You can do that. The same thing, maybe take the exact same format, concept, layout, and just change it, right? Instead of yachts, do, you know, supercars, or do, you know, top 10 kind of stuff, like top 10 scariest moments at a zoo, whatever it is, right? And you find those clips and you make those, right? Really easy to copy some of these because you're not directly copying a person. But I saw a video recently, I'm not gonna include it on here because I have to go back and look it up, but there was a guy who was basically showing other YouTubers who have copied other YouTubers, face YouTubers. There's a really popular YouTuber, like 7 million subscribers, and in that channel, they will copy, I mean, word for word, the first like 30 seconds of other very popular videos. Now, videos that maybe got 1 million views, they'll copy it and they'll get like 10 million views because they have that brand recognition. But they'll even copy the thumbnail, and all they'll do is maybe reverse it, right? Or text is over here and they'll put the text over there. They use the exact same image on the thumbnail, same title. I mean, and they'll even say the same words, but it's just a different face, right? So you can say that's inspiration, you can say it's copying, whatever, but it works, right? It's the same concept because people love the ideas. And so how do you follow through the ideas? Maybe the idea was really good on the first one, and the person who copied it exactly on the copycat channel, maybe they just did a better job at it, even though it's the same content, right? It's all about how you present it and how you tell that story. So there are cheat sheets and ways on how you can kind of accelerate yourself and get yourself to grow. But hopefully this provides you with an insight into faceless versus non-face. I will try my best to do face channels because I have been demonetized and it's harder to get remonetized back into the YouTube partner program, because you have to say, hey, look, no, hold up, go back. Yes, I'm a faceless channel and I just got auto flagged for something. That's not actually what happened. Then YouTube says, oh, sorry. When they actually have a person go back and review it, they say sorry, but that takes time. You can be demonetized for a month, 2 months, 3 months, where you're not actually making ad revenue, which sucks because you could be missing out on thousands to tens of thousands of dollars during the time you're demonetized if you have a big popular channel. So whatever works best for you, I wish you the best. Tune in to the next time as you see this channel grow, and we're just going to keep talking and developing, and hopefully we'll see where we can get to. Have a good one.